F-150s. Again, over $8,000 off. Come see us today, I-77, exit 49B.
Welcome to the Scoreboard. Happy Friday, everyone. It is Friday. I hope you're happy. It's been another week. You made it to the end of it, though. We got a lot to go over before we end the day today. It is Friday night. You know what that means? Friday Night Lights, high school football. We got plenty of it. We're going to go over quite a bit today. So make sure you stay tuned. It may take a little bit of time. But we do want to make sure we shout out some of the local high schools that are going to be in action today. We talked to South Iredell High School football early in the week. I sat down with them Monday night. We aired that interview on Tuesday, and today they take on Mooresville High School at home. Mooresville currently 5-1, South Iredell 4-2. A big game within the conference, as both Mooresville and South Iredell are undefeated in the 4A Greater Metro Conference. We are also going to talk about the NFL today. Last night we had a game, the 49ers and the Seahawks. We talked about the 49ers and the rough start that they've had to their year, and if they would have lost to the Seahawks, what that would have meant. Fortunately for the 49ers, they come out with the win. They practically dominate the game. I don't think there was ever a concern. There was one point where I did think that the Seahawks were actually going to make a comeback. Didn't end up happening. But the 49ers get the win over the Seahawks. Tonight we got high school football. Tomorrow, college football, NASCAR Xfinity racing. Tonight, besides high school football, if you're looking for something nationally to watch tonight, if you don't want to go out to watch a high school football game, and I don't know why you wouldn't, but you have the San Diego Padres on the road taking on the LA Dodgers in a winner-take-all Game 5. The winner will move on to the NLCS to take on the New York Mets. Also, the winner of this series will be the home team in the NLCS. No matter what happens, the Mets will be on the road to begin the CS. Tomorrow, you have another Game 5 as Cleveland was able to starve off elimination as Detroit drops the game. Game number 5, they will move on to face on the Yankees. Will the winner? And the NLCS, by the way, it starts a lot earlier than you think. Game 5 is tonight. Tomorrow is a travel day, and then Game 1 of the NLCS is actually going to be Sunday. Monday, we will have 2 games, Game 2 and Game 1, between the National League and American League. So the MLB season, it's coming down to a close. We're down to 4. We're going to be down to 4 teams remaining once we come back to chat with you on Monday. I know. Comes fast, doesn't it? Once you get through the regular season and 162 games are behind you, the end of the season really comes up on you fast. So if you're not watching baseball, I urge you to take a look. It has been a really good playoff so far. Very entertaining game last night it was, as the Yankees were able to beat the Royals, and the Guardians score in the 7th inning to take the lead and not get eliminated from the Tigers. Garrett Cole was on point last night for the Yankees, a 3-1 win, all 1 runs in 3 different innings for the Yankees there, so spreading it out throughout the entire game. There were times where I thought they were going to pour on a few more, but it didn't end up happening. 3-1 was the final in that game. Another thing, we already mentioned it, NASCAR, the Cup Series, heading to the Roval. We've seen some special performances at the Roval before. We've seen a crash where Ryan Blaney won the inaugural one because the 2 leaders took each other out. We've seen a car wreck and come back and win. Chase Elliott, remember, he went into the turn one wall, drove through the field, and won the race. Christopher Bell, from below the cut line, he had a good race here one time, and he ended up punching his ticket to the round of 8 that propelled him into the round of 4 last year as well. So a lot on the line here at the Roval. It's never a cookie-cutter race where it's, yeah, we know what's going to happen. We know who's going to advance. It's going to be crazy. It is, and I know I talk about how I'm not a big fan of the Roval, and I'm not. I wish they wouldn't have gone away from Charlotte Motor Speedway's oval and only had the Coca-Cola 600 around there. I think that's such an iconic track and a great track that you would want 2 oval races around there. And if you want to do Rovals, you could sprinkle it to another track or give Charlotte one more date. They're not above going to a place 3 times in a year. We saw it during the COVID season. And I think it might have been because of that, but I'm sure we've had seasons way past when that I don't know about where we may have gone to a place more than twice in a year. But the Roval is coming up on Sunday, 2 o'clock, and it'll be on NBC proper. We're going to give that a fair preview a little bit later on in the program. Might end that way. And we have some big college football games coming up as well today. Tomorrow as well. Tomorrow are the big ones. Ohio State and Oregon from Oregon. That's going to be an interesting one. That's a conference game. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Ohio State and Oregon. Conference games, they're like numbers 2 and 3 right now in the rankings. That's going to be a good one. I'm curious to see what happens with Alabama. I think as much as people want to hype up Oregon and Ohio State, and you should, that is going to be a very interesting game. I'm curious to see how Alabama bounces back against South Carolina, because I like South Carolina as a team this year. I think they have a good program to build on right now. Maybe next year get into the rankings, maybe fight for a playoff spot. But you lose to Vanderbilt, man. If you're Alabama, you lose to Vanderbilt, you got to come back and get a real nice win against South Carolina. So that'll be this weekend. We'll go over a few games as well as some of the other things going on just around the world of sports in general. There's always news to be had, and we're getting news about players in the NFL. Christian McCaffrey, is he going to be coming back? Things like that. So stay tuned. We'll talk more about other things in the news. As I sneeze, excuse me, it's the fall. I know it's not really a high allergy season, but I feel like it's been getting to me today as I've been sneezing and having my nose run all day. We're going to start our conversation in the high school football scene today. We're going to do that when we return, talk about some of the schools that are in action tonight, look at some conference standings, and see who in our area is really going to be vying for a playoff position come the end of the regular season. Then we'll get into baseball. Like I said, those playoffs, man, they're moving right along. It's going to be a fun game tonight. The only national thing going on really is that game, unless you're interested in the WNBA playoffs. I will say game number 1 last night looked like it was pretty entertaining. It's not what I had my eye on, but a comeback for the Lynx and an overtime win in game 1, WNBA is definitely entertaining. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg in just a moment from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Oh boy, talk about a sight to see. Did you see the Northern Lights last night? Actually made it down into the Carolinas. Most of the time you had to use your phone night mode to see it, but really something astonishing. And I'll tell you what, it just doesn't get any better in the weather department. Plenty of sunshine as we warm into the low 70s this afternoon. We'll fall back into the mid-40s under a clear sky tonight. Beautiful weekend coming up, mid and upper 70s for Saturday and Sunday. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The app with Lake Norman deals. The WSIC app is out now, wherever you get your apps.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Brookdale Village in Huntersville presents their free concert series Live Under the Oaks on Friday. The Village is open all day for shopping and dining with Rocky Lynn taking the stage at 6 p.m. Bring your chairs and enjoy on-site beverages from Red Rocks. Live Under the Oaks with Rocky Lynn kicks off at 6 p.m. Friday in Brookdale Village. Old Town Cornelius is alive again with October's Second Friday Street Festival. Join friends and neighbors on October 11th from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Oak Street Mill in Cornelius for the Second Friday Street Festival season finale. Live music, an all-star lineup of breweries, delicious food trucks, sweet treats, a kids zone, petting zoo, vendors, and giveaways highlight a night of fun for the entire family. We'll see you in Old Town Cornelius for the Second Friday Street Festival. NASCAR returns to Charlotte Motor Speedway for their annual fall weekend in October on the Roval. The Xfinity Series holds the Drive for the Cure 250 on Saturday. The Cup Series competes in the Bank of America Roval 400 on Sunday. Weekend ticket packages as well as daily tickets are available. Also, check out deals for military service members, college students, suites, the Champions Pavilion, the Indoor Clubhouse, Terrace Box, 4-packs, and more. Don't miss any of the entertainment, including Eli Young Band and Tim Duggar concerts before NASCAR's National Series step closer to their championships. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for information, tickets, and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. A non-stop outdoor family adventure. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
Drum Landscape Supply is the go-to spot for anything you need for your yard. Transform your landscaping. Drum Landscape Supply has trees, flowers, natural stone, custom blended grass seed, mulch, and more. Plus, they deliver. DrumLandscapeSupply.com.
The button pushing stops here.
WSIC. Local starts here.
The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
And welcome back, everyone. It's the Scoreboard. You're here listening to the second segment today. We're going to go over high school football, the high school football scene moving on. We are just past the halfway point for most of these schools. For example, Statesville High School has played 6. They have 4 remaining, so they just passed the halfway point. One of those 4 games is coming up tonight. It's on the road against a local Iredell rivalry, West Iredell. That is a 7 o'clock game. Now, I will say for Statesville, they have been on a roll recently after that loss to North Lincoln a couple of weeks ago. Still sitting 3rd in the 4A Western Foothills at 2-1. Hickory High School, man, you're going to want to keep an eye on them. They really might be better than some 4A schools, and I'm sure if they played a top contending 4A program that they would put up a fight. Undefeated on the year so far. In 3 games, they gave up 27, 21, and 25. And then in 3 other games, they give up 7, 0, and 0 on the defensive side of the ball. Hickory High School is going to be one to keep an eye on. But the reason they're considered 3rd right now is because North Lincoln has the tiebreaker over them. 2-1 in the conference, 5-1 overall. Both of those schools have the same conference record. They also have the same overall record. So we will keep an eye on this game between Statesville and their opponent tonight, West Iredell. It's going to be a good one, but, West Iredell hasn't had the year that they've wanted. Currently 2-3 on the season, and it's been a rough stretch for them. They've had some close games, some tough games, but a chance to give themselves a better opportunity going forward here to see some postseason play. I think they probably need to win out, and it is possible, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be a tough one there for West Iredell. But they start tonight with a game against Statesville. That one is coming up today. Mooresville High School, as we said, they'll be taking on South Iredell. That is going to be one of the games to watch this weekend, in my opinion, because, man, I am impressed with what South Iredell has been able to do this year, especially considering what happened to their season last year, winning only 2 games, having a real rough time. When you have a young program and you have a lot of sophomores, juniors, not many graduating seniors, that leap from year 1 to year 2 is so big because you grow together as a team. You go into the next season and you already know the system, especially if you have the same head coach. You already know the guys next to you because not many of them have left. And they're showing why the experience is important being together, because South Iredell right now, they're 4-2. And last year they had a really rough year. Like we said, only winning 2 games in the entire season. Now for Mooresville, a little bit of a different story between last year and this year. They had a really good season last year, and they keep falling into the second round matchup where it's just a bad draw for them, where somebody that they are just not going to match up well against is taking them on. And they've been bounced in that second round the last few years, including this year. Now, they would have had a chance to be undefeated, which, if you remember back to our conversation with Langston Wirtz Jr., he told us about the game against Reagan where Mooresville was driving and their running back was tackled down at like the 5-yard line, almost able to tie the game up, and then they would have kicked an extra point for the win. But they did lose that game against Reagan 34-28. Most recently, Mooresville beat Providence 18-6. They'll travel up north a little bit to South Iredell High School. That game is at 7 o'clock. Mooresville's immediate rival, and it is the rivalry down in Mooresville, is Lake Norman football. Lake Norman actually lost their most recent game against West Cabarrus. Right up to that point, the only loss that Lake Norman had was against Statesville. It was that 28-21 loss. But West Cabarrus, a decent program in the high school scene, 3-4 on the year, 2-1 in the conference. So a little interesting there where you have a team that hadn't done good in their non-conference games. They're starting to pick it up in the conference, and it shows as West Cabarrus was able to beat Lake Norman. Lake Norman's looking to turn it around tonight on the road. They will head out to Hickory Ridge High School, who has not gotten a win yet this season. Still looking for their first. Kickoff for that game is going to be 7 o'clock as well. And one more school that we want to shout out here, last but not least, Huff High School down in Cornelius. They're having a great year, 6-1 overall, only losing to Northwestern High School game 1, 45-44. They are the 8th ranked program in the state of North Carolina, 6-1 overall, 4-0 in the conference. Huff High School last night played West Charlotte. This was not a Friday night game. This was a Thursday night game. And Huff High School was able to get the win that projected them up to 6-1 on the year. Final score in that one, 40-14. There has not been one game this year where Huff High School did not put up at least 40 points. And besides the 45 points that Northwestern scored in week 1, Huff High School has not allowed more than 14 points in a game this year. That is going to be a team to watch in the 4A conference once we get to the playoffs. They are a bruiser of a team. When we come back Monday, we're going to give you an update on how all the high school football things went. Then we're going to get into other sports. Volleyball playoffs are around the corner. We should be getting the seeding pretty soon. We talked about it yesterday with the NCHSAA website. And when they had it slated for the volleyball rankings and seedings to be released, it's coming up on October 20th. So late next week, we should have those seedings for you. I'm sorry, not next week. We'll go through next week, and then early the week after, we will have those volleyball seedings for you. You're also going to have later in October, basketball practices are going to start. And the first basketball game of the year is coming up on November 4th. Now, the NBA is about to get started as well. I know they have preseason action going on. The season's going to be starting relatively soon, so something to keep an eye on. Like I said, October is the best season, or the best month, I should say. Fall is the best season. October, the best month for sports, because you have so many going on. If you want to find something to watch, it's out there for you. I promise. You just got to search for it. Even soccer still going on as we head to the end of the MLS season. Charlotte FC won't be in action this weekend. Next weekend is the final game of the regular season. They've already clinched the playoffs. They currently sit in the 6th seed. Could go as high as 5, as low as 7, depending on what they do, what NYCFC does, and the New York Red Bulls. We'll continue to monitor that, but playoffs for Charlotte FC around the corner. Yeah, there's going to be playoffs for a team in Charlotte. I know. Hard to believe. Another team that plays in Charlotte that probably won't be seeing much postseason action this year are the Carolina Panthers. As we look at their schedule, they will be taking on the Atlanta Falcons, who have had a better start to the year than I think a lot of people expected them to have. It is going to be a home game for the Panthers, so in Bank of America Stadium. When you look at the NFC South standings and how things have been going over there, the Falcons are an interesting team. I'd said it in the beginning of the year. I thought they might struggle in the first few games, and we've seen competence and we've seen struggle. I mean, obviously we saw what Kirk Cousins did on Monday night, throwing for 500 and some odd yards in an overtime victory. But the lead of the NFC South for the Panthers is only 2 games away from them. So if they're somehow able to play spoiler against the Falcons at home, that puts them a step closer. I wouldn't count them out just yet. With the way that the NFC South has played in recent years, you just can't count yourselves out, because you could go on a 3-4 game winning streak. You need a little bit of luck in the NFL. So many of these games are 1-score games. All it comes down to is a little bit of luck. And if the Panthers get some of that on their side, win a few games, depending on what goes on in the NFC South, they could find themselves in contention to win this division. Now, I know I said I believe the Buccaneers are going to win the division, and I will stand by that. I just don't think it's realistic that the Panthers are going to do it, but you can't count them out yet, because you're right there. You're a couple games back. It's still early in the season. You didn't have the start you wanted. You got Andy Dalton in there now, coming off a stinker against the Bears. We don't have to worry about that. But the Panthers, they do have a chance. Keep the energy up. Keep the hopes up. Believe, and maybe it'll happen. You never know. We've seen teams have losing records, win their division, and win a playoff game. It's happened multiple times. Yeah, believe it or not. Like I said, once we were done with the high school scene, we're going to get into some baseball. Playoff baseball from last night, playoff baseball today. We still got a lot to cover here on the scoreboard. I expect everyone to stay tuned. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back right after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Oh boy, talk about a sight to see. Did you see the Northern Lights last night? Actually made it down into the Carolinas. Most of the time you had to use your phone night mode to see it, but really something astonishing. And I'll tell you what, it just doesn't get any better in the weather department. Plenty of sunshine as we warm into the low 70s this afternoon. We'll fall back into the mid-40s under a clear sky tonight. Beautiful weekend coming up, mid and upper 70s for Saturday and Sunday. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Attention, fellow conservative investors. What does the name Reagan mean to you? It stands for being the ultimate conservative. It also stands for the Reagan Gold Group. Do you see storm clouds approaching? The stock market hates uncertainty, and there are plenty of reasons to be concerned. High inflation, unstable debt, and economic uncertainty are just a few. You have car insurance, homeowners insurance, and life insurance. But do you have insurance for your retirement savings and your 401k? We urge all fellow conservative investors to learn about the one asset that could help ensure your nest egg doesn't crack under economic pressure. G-O-L-D, gold. Call the one name any conservative investor needs to know about. Reagan Gold Group.
800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. That's 800-296.
Fall is here. Be ready with these propane fuel deals from G&B Energy. Get cozy with a new fireplace and save up to $500 with rebates on cozy heat gas inserts, or receive a free on-off remote with purchase of select gas log sets. The best deal of all, Rinnai tankless water heaters start at $295 after rebates. Visit G&B Energy in Statesville or gbenergy.com. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Have you taken the Desco Challenge? The people have spoken. Desco is where the professional goes for electrical supplies.
Hi, my name is Randy. I'm a general contractor, and I always trust the products at Desco.
See for yourself at DescoInc.com.
Your Tuesdays just got a lot better. The Good Soul, a feel-good show that dives into the stories of extraordinary people, is headed to WSIC. Host Patty Alvarez brings a sit-down, fun conversation to the airwaves to give you an early week pick-me-up.
We're at Black Automotive. The Buick Encore GX is now at a low 0.9% for 36 months or a $3,000 rebate. Or the Buick Envista is also 0.9% for 36 months. And there's more here at Black Automotive Statesville.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. Successful sports franchises always start with a good foundation that includes solid ownership, reliable management, and key star players, and then continue to build and add pieces from there. As followers of Jesus, each one of us is building something, such as a family, a business, or friendships. And every day we must decide if we are going to build our lives on the foundation of Jesus. Are we willing to follow his ways, or is our foundation built on something that is unstable and fleeting? Jesus said, "Everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock." Today, let's recognize that no matter what we are building, it's all pointless if it isn't being built upon the foundation of Jesus and his word. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. You can thank strong earnings from two big banks, JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo, for today's rise in the markets. The S&P had its 45th record close of the year, up 35 points or 0.6%. The Dow also posted a new high, up 410, close to 1%. No record for the Nasdaq, but it did add 61 or a third percent. The latest read on inflation could give comfort to investors after yesterday's higher-than-expected consumer price index. Producer prices for September were unchanged after rising 0.2% the prior month, thanks to a decline in gas prices. Consumers are less encouraged by the direction of the economy. According to the University of Michigan, its preliminary October Consumer Sentiment Index unexpectedly fell for the first time in 3 months. Consumers expected prices to climb 2.9% over the next year, up from 2.7% in September. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio.
It's the Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Listening to the Scoreboard, and we are past the halfway mark here. 844 Studio 4 is the phone number. So if you have something on your mind that you want to talk about, I'm here for you. We can chat about it. 844-788-3464. Major League Baseball coming up later today. A huge game between the Padres and the Dodgers. Why is it such a huge game? Well, that's because the series is tied at a game apiece, or 2 games apiece right now. And it's a best of 5. So in a best of 5, all you have to do is win 3 games. Game 5 later tonight. First pitch, 8:08. I love how all of these first pitches have been at 08. Don't understand why, and I never will. Maybe somebody out there has some insight as to why first pitch times in Major League Baseball are always so wonky. It happens all the time. And if you don't believe me, just look at Sunday. Look at Saturday. Saturday, the Tigers and the Guardians, 108. Sunday, the Mets and whoever wins tonight, 8:15. That's a little bit more normal. Monday, the Mets and whoever wins tonight in game 2, 4:08. And then the Yankees with whoever wins tomorrow, 7:37. I love it. I think it's awesome. Have some real specific times right there. But games last night were pretty fun. You had the Guardians and the Tigers. Tigers going back and forth in that one before it was really broke open in the 7th inning, where the Guardians grabbed a 1-run lead. They added an insurance marker in the 9th, and Detroit tried to rally in the bottom of the 9th. They did get 1 run, but that squeeze play, if you watch, there was a safety squeeze by the Guardians in the top of the 9th inning. It was a perfect bunt. There was absolutely no way the pitcher was going to be able to get the out at home, but he had to try. And that run loomed large over this ball game as Detroit was able to get 1 run in the bottom of the 9th, but they ultimately end up losing the game 5-4. So the series swings back to Cleveland for 1 more installment. It'll be game number 5 tomorrow. The Yankees and the Royals were the later game yesterday, and the Yankees handled business, getting a run before they even recorded an out in the game. In the top of the first, Gleyber Torres led things off with a double, and then Juan Soto singled him in. So before people even settled into their seats in this one, the Yankees were up 1-0. The Royals were able to score in the bottom of the 6th, but by then it was already 3-0 Yankees. There was no more scoring after that by either team. Final score 3-1. The New York Yankees take the series 3-1. And it's the first time since 2022 that the Yankees go to the ALCS. If you remember, they missed the playoffs completely last year. Yes, they were not good enough to qualify for the playoffs last year. Crazy to think that a team that good missed the playoffs. But it happened, and it happens. I mean, look at what the Royals did. If you're a fan of the Kansas City Royals, be happy with the season, man. You lost over 100 games last year. And now you are in the ALDS. Nobody expected that. You overachieved like crazy. Congratulations to the Royals on what was definitely a successful season. So as we said, Padres, Dodgers later on tonight. Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound for the Dodgers, and Yu Darvish on the mound for the Padres. That's a pitching matchup right there. Darvish 1-0 in the playoffs with a 1.2 ERA. Yamamoto, he gave up some runs in his first playoff start. He went 3 innings and had an ERA of 15. It was a real tough outing in his first career playoff game. It's rough. It is. That game is going to be at 8 o'clock tonight. I still don't know who the favorite is. I can't tell you. Now, I know there's a betting favorite and all that, but I don't care what the betting odds say about the favorite to win the World Series. I don't. It could be anybody. When you really sit down and look at it and see who, like last year, Texas and Arizona was a shock. It was a shock. Nobody expected two wild card teams to tear through the playoffs the way they did and beat the teams that they did. I mean, the Diamondbacks, the road they took to get to the World Series was tough. But it happened. This year, and I don't know if it has to do with the run of the Rangers and the Diamondbacks last year, but I can see any of these teams winning the World Series. That's what you want. You want competitiveness. You want to not be... I mean, think about how many times you sit down and you say, all right, the playoffs are about to start. Yeah, I know this team's probably going to go all the way. Look at what the Celtics did in the NBA playoffs. They weren't even entertaining the NBA playoffs this previous year because you knew it was going to happen. By the time they got to the Knicks in the conference finals, they had nobody left. The Knicks were basically putting out their bench to start the game because everybody was injured. But these MLB playoffs have proven to be competitive. We're seeing 2 Game 5s in the divisional. I would not be surprised if both of these LCSs go 7 games. I wouldn't be surprised. Even the World Series, I can see it going 7 games. And it doesn't matter who's in it. And that's what's so great about this year's MLB playoffs. One more time, the Dodgers at home taking on the Padres at 8:08 tonight. The winner moves on to the NLCS to face the Mets, who are going to be hanging out, watching this game, and see who their opponent is. We got a couple of news things going on. Something that actually released a few minutes ago. The NFL and the NFLPA announced that they found that the steps required by the concussion protocol were correctly followed in evaluating and clearing Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen. Here is the joint statement. The NFL and the NFLPA have reviewed the reports from the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant and booth spotters, and those reports confirm that the steps required by the concussion protocol were followed in the evaluation and clearance of Bills quarterback Josh Allen in last Sunday's game. The protocol has been jointly developed and is jointly administered by the NFL and the NFLPA. Under that program, the parties jointly identify, retain, and train the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant and booth spotters. So I guess the question is, do we have to change the protocol? Because I feel like anybody watching that game between the Bills and the Texans who saw Josh Allen go down immediately said, oh, that's a concussion. He looked like he was knocked out. His body looked limp after his head hit the turf. Maybe it's something they look at in the offseason. I don't know if you can pull a player from a game just because it looked like they hit their head hard. And I don't know what kind of tests these unaffiliated neurotrauma consultants do to clear a player. Maybe we get some more clarity on that. Maybe it gets explained to the general public a little better as we go into the offseason. And maybe the protocols change. We got one more segment on this beautiful Friday. We're going to talk about NASCAR heading to the Roval when we come back. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Oh boy, talk about a sight to see. Did you see the Northern Lights last night? Actually made it down into the Carolinas. Most of the time you had to use your phone night mode to see it, but really something astonishing. And I'll tell you what, it just doesn't get any better in the weather department. Plenty of sunshine as we warm into the low 70s this afternoon. We'll fall back into the mid-40s under a clear sky tonight. Beautiful weekend coming up, mid and upper 70s for Saturday and Sunday. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. Our meteorologist, Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Brookdale Village in Huntersville presents their free concert series Live Under the Oaks on Friday. The Village is open all day for shopping and dining with Rocky Lynn taking the stage at 6 p.m. Bring your chairs and enjoy on-site beverages from Red Rocks. Live Under the Oaks with Rocky Lynn kicks off at 6 p.m. Friday in Brookdale Village. Old Town Cornelius is alive again with October's Second Friday Street Festival. Join friends and neighbors on October 11th from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Oak Street Mill in Cornelius for the Second Friday Street Festival season finale. Live music, an all-star lineup of breweries, delicious food trucks, sweet treats, a kids zone, petting zoo, vendors, and giveaways highlight a night of fun for the entire family. We'll see you in Old Town Cornelius for the Second Friday Street Festival. NASCAR returns to Charlotte Motor Speedway for their annual fall weekend in October on the Roval. The Xfinity Series holds the Drive for the Cure 250 on Saturday. The Cup Series competes in the Bank of America Roval 400 on Sunday. Weekend ticket packages as well as daily tickets are available. Also, check out deals for military service members, college students, suites, the Champions Pavilion, the Indoor Clubhouse, Terrace Box, 4-packs, and more. Don't miss any of the entertainment, including Eli Young Band and Tim Duggar concerts before NASCAR's National Series step closer to their championships. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for information, tickets, and details. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. A non-stop outdoor family adventure. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshlawfirm.com.
Talk sports with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4. It's the Scoreboard on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Final segment of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday to you. I know a lot of you guys are probably in the car on your way home during this 5 o'clock hour. We are coming up quickly to 6 o'clock, 11 minutes exactly away from the 6 o'clock hour. Then it's only 1 hour until we get to high school football kickoffs. A lot of them going on today. We went over that in the beginning of the program. Reminder, if you missed any of the show, you can always go back wherever you get the show. Plenty of spots for you to find us. YouTube, Facebook, X, and wherever you listen to podcasts as well. Spotify, Apple Podcast. I believe iHeartRadio hosts the podcast as well. So you can find us for sure. And if you're ever unsure of where to find us, you can go on WSICnews.com, find the show you're looking for, and all of the shows will be categorized for your listening pleasure, including the Scoreboard. We got one more segment today, and I wanted to go into the Cup Series race at the Charlotte Roval and the Xfinity race as well. Don't forget, there are 2 races coming up this weekend. We have a reconfigured track, and I've been looking at it. I'm glad that they reconfigured it. I am. I just don't know if it's worth it. They've reconfigured this track a lot, and I remember some of the first sketches we saw for this track. It looked like there were going to be actual S's or something like that in the infield. That didn't end up happening. You had this really wonky technical infield section where there were no passing zones, so all you saw were cars getting moved out of the way. Now they definitely added another passing zone, but really only one, and that is the exit from turn. Well, I don't know what turn it is exactly, but is the exit from the infield at the oval one where you'd make a U-turn now. So the best way that I can explain this is imagine if you're in the infield running parallel to the racetrack, but you're going backwards. And as you come out of turn one, that's where the U-turn is, except you're in the infield. You make a hard left hairpin corner, as they call it in road racing. You take the hairpin, it gets you onto oval turn one, and then it's the same thing. The backstretch chicane, you go through 3 and 4 of the oval, and you come to the front stretch chicane, which also has been changed this year. Used to be a very flowy chicane where it wasn't really well defined, a hard turn here and a hard turn here, and you saw a lot of people jumping curbs. We saw that crash between Martin Truex Jr. and Jimmy Johnson in the inaugural race there for the win. Well, now they've defined the chicane a little bit more on the front stretch. I think it's going to slow people down tremendously, and it is going to increase passing, in my opinion. You might even be able to see actual switchbacks, crossovers, if you will, going through that front stretch chicane, which will be really interesting. Now, when you look at the point standings, we're going to start with the Xfinity Series. Sammy Smith has clinched his way into the round of 8 with the win at Talladega last weekend. Chandler Smith at 64 points ahead. If it doesn't say on the NASCAR website whether it is a clinched playoff spot or not, another problem with the NASCAR website. We won't go into that today, but at 64 points, I believe he is locked in. Cole Custer and Austin Hill are both 37 points to the good. Sheldon Creed, 32 points away from that cut line. Jesse Love, 22. Riley Herbst plus 20. And AJ Allmendinger is the 8th car in the standings right now, 7 points ahead of the first car out of the playoffs, which is Justin Allgaier. Then you have Shane Van Gisbergen, 10th in the standings, 10 points behind AJ Allmendinger. This is going to be what you keep an eye on all race long, is the battle for the cut line between Sam Mayer, Parker Klingerman, Shane Van Gisbergen, Justin Allgaier, and AJ Allmendinger. It's going to be a battle all race long in the Xfinity Series. I'm excited for it. It might not be my favorite racetrack, but I am excited for both the Xfinity and the Cup Series races. Turning our attention to that Cup Series now, the standings are as followed. William Byron, 74 points ahead. I know for a fact that he has clinched into the round of 8 on points alone. Last year's race winner, Christopher Bell, is 57 points to the good, all but clinched into the next round of the playoffs. Kyle Larson, 52 points behind. And then it goes to guys who I really think aren't completely safe, especially if they have problems early. Denny Hamlin, 30 points ahead. Alex Bowman, plus 26. Ryan Blaney, plus 25. Then you have Tyler Reddick, 14 points above the cut line, and Chase Elliott, only 13 points above number 9, Joey Logano in the standings. Daniel Suarez, 20 points back. Austin Cindric, 29. And Chase Briscoe, 32 points out. I think those final 3 drivers are win and in only. It's going to be unless they run first in stage 1 and 2 and finish second and get max points without winning the race. I think Suarez, Cindric, Briscoe, they're going to have to win this race. Logano, he's got a little bit more of a chance to point his way in if he gets a lot of stage points, and you see Reddick and Elliott not getting stage points. But those bottom 3 drivers, I think they're going to need to win and in. One more time, we will go over the Charlotte Roval schedule for you this weekend. Saturday is going to be packed, and then there's only one thing going on Sundays, like usual. So we start early tomorrow at 10 a.m. It is the Xfinity Series practice session. You can catch that on USA. Then the Xfinity Series will qualify at 11. So a 1-hour practice and then qualifying at 11, also on USA. Cup Series practice is at 12:30. They qualify at 2. A little bit more practice time for the Cup boys. Also catch that on USA. Saturday at 3:30. A little bit, the baseball game will probably just be ending right around then. So at 3:30, if you want to tune in to the CW to check out the Drive for the Cure 250, that is when the Xfinity race will be. Exclusively on the CW. You are not going to be able to stream it on their website, on any apps. You do have to be sitting in front of a television in order to watch that race with a connection to an antenna or a dish, whatever you have. Sunday, things get a little bit more simple. It is the Bank of America Roval 400, the one and only on-track event on Sunday. We will drop the green flag probably around 2:15, 2:30, but the coverage will begin on NBC at 2 p.m. We are fast approaching the end of the program today, so we're going to go into the same thing that we always do as we get into the end of these shows, some things that happened on this day in sports history. We got some good ones for you. On this day in 2020, you remember 2020? It was that wild year where everything got canceled. Well, we had NBA Finals that year. The LA Lakers beat the Miami Heat in Game 6 to win their 17th title. LeBron James was the MVP, and he was the first ever player to win the Finals MVP with 3 different teams. That is an incredible feat no matter how you look at it, but a lot of people like to refer to that as a bubble championship. To that I say, grow up. Everybody played in the same arena. Like, nobody had an advantage. Other things that happened on this day in sports history. Let's see, what else did we have? On this day, 1999, Pedro Martinez threw 6 hitless innings in relief to win and clinch the ALDS Game 5. That was 1999. In 1997, Dennis Rodman returned to play from the second longest NBA suspension ever at the time, 11 games. We've seen much bigger suspensions since then. You remember Ja Morant, he was suspended. There was a lot of games that he was suspended. 25 games, maybe, something like that. I don't remember it off the top of my head. I think we can squeeze one more in here. Let's go a little bit farther back. 1911, Ty Cobb and Frank Schulte are named inaugural MVPs in the American and National League, respectively. That was this day in 1911. Happy Friday, everyone. I hope you enjoy the day. I hope you enjoy the weather, cooler weather. Watch some sports, watch some high school, college, everything going on. We didn't really get into college. We will prioritize it for you on Monday. I'm going to be keeping my eye on quite a bit. We'll talk on Monday. Until then, have a great night, everyone. See ya.